Okay, let's start. So thank you for having me today here at the FMDiSC meeting. We saw last year at nearly the same time. It was October 22 when you invited me to share a presentation about the future of FileMaker. And now we take a look back and also look into what's happened in between. And there was this Claris platform update introduced some weeks ago, and we try to draw a bottom line. So can you all see my screen, or should I adjust something here? I don't know.
No, it looks great. You're doing good.
Looks good.
Okay, so let's introduce myself. I'm self-employed as a developer and information designer for more than 35 years now. I'm into FileMaker since version 2 and do a lot of different industries and projects. Besides, I'm also the host of a local FileMaker user group. We had our monthly meeting just yesterday, so I'm ready to present again today. And some knew me from the German FileMaker magazine or European conferences where I've sometimes been as a speaker. So I'm a tech nerd for more than 40 years, but there are a lot of other nice things in my life so that I do not lose ground when sitting on my laptop for long times. So I have enough other things to get into connection. To give you an overview, we will have about 45 minutes for the slides, and then some time for Q&A and open discussion. This presentation refers in part to last year's presentation, The Future of FileMaker. So I think Bob shared the link. If you want to recap some details later, you can do this, but I will give you a smooth recap so that we can just step further from the things we saw last year in the other presentation. Let's start the recap. Last year were some big announcements from Claris, and we also had some major conferences in Germany. So there was a lot of room for discussion and rumors and the enhancements of the FileMaker platform. And we take a look back at last year's presentation, just a few slides. We started with an history lesson. There were these cycles of IT development over the last decades to understand and give it a perspective where FileMaker fits in and what all these implications were from these different ages of command line computing, desktop computing, cloud computing. And we looked into the different technical paradigms. And finally, I tried to break it down when it comes to FileMaker as a tool, where it fits in, where it did its lesson already, and which paradigms and architectures are well supported, where some things were missing. And the final question was, how good is FileMaker prepared for the new age of cloud computing, of distributed devices, and all this new stuff that Claris tries to bring to us. So we had a look back to the change and evolution of FileMaker, the different versions of it. I skipped this a bit now, and finally I tried to put it together in a picture where all parts of it find its place. There were these announcements last year's with the cloud thing, and it was not so clear at the beginning how all this fits together. There were all these new buzzwords, ESS+, MongoDB, Docker, cloud-based, and it needs to be sorted a bit out to understand what it really means. And so I tried to put it into this slide with different layers, with different technical layers, the client side, the server side, the Cloud Hub, and the third-party cloud services. And then on the left side, the FileMaker and Claris products as we knew it. And on the right side, the new things like Claris Connect and Studio with the web browser as a front end, as a thin client. And even this evolved a bit further in the last year. So we had a look ahead last year to what I called it the future then, but now it's now. And the main aspects of it is that Claris Connect and Studio evolved a bit further. I think they are ready for prime time. It looks to me that in the beginning it was very low-featured environment, but in the meantime they added more features and made it clear how all this fits together. And so this picture evolved further, and from the free version was announced again and again, so we are waiting it shortly. And if we look into some future word, perhaps would be some more refinements to the infrastructure behind it for deployment options and all these basic foundation that the platform is relying on. It gives us some picture of a possible future. And meanwhile, some more announcement came up and some more things happened. And not all things went so smoothly for us as an audience of Claris, to understand what's going on and to understand what the implication for us as developers and for our customers would be. And so I tried to recap the story behind all these implications in kind of a picture to understand it better. So in my perception, something happened on the way to heaven. They gave us this picture of a possible future, and the question was, did it really play it out that well, like it was shown in the first place? I tried to put it together in as a classic drama. So come with me to join the theater today, and we sit in the audience now and try to take a look at the development behind the Claris platform for the past years, not only the past year, but also the years before. If I try to break it down, it looks at me as a few different chapters. The first chapter was the waiting. The next chapter would be the first attempts. Then comes the tragedy, the contradiction, and finally redemption. With a warning, that's my very personal perception. There are no guarantees at all, but I hope you can enjoy the story. So let's dive in. First chapter, the waiting. In October 2019, there was a local conference here in Germany. We were all together in Hamburg, and the people from Claris came in and gave some introduction of their possible idea how the future of the Claris platform would be. They showed us many nice slides. There were these new products, Claris Connect introduced some Claris Next Generation, whatever this could be. They had this very similar stages of software development, the desktop, the web, the mobile, like we saw it in this first part of the presentation some minutes ago. And there were some big news and shiny PowerPoint slides were shared, and the audience was compelled, and they were even talking straight. They made some good and clear ideas what they thought of they could do for the product and how the platform would evolve. And it was very interesting, and people were really impressed. This was 2019. Bold promises were made, but nothing really happened. To be fair, the world stood still for a while, and you know what I'm talking about. And also, there were some things going on behind the scenes at the Claris company. There were some changes, restructuring, new offices, new people come in. And so we were waiting for results to be seen. The next stage, the next chapter is first attempts. Now we are in April 2022 already. They came up with some slides to show their strategy, to explain how the platform will change and what will be there over time. The new products are introduced, Claris Connect, and the whole Claris platform would even evolve further. And for the first time, they showed us some technical ideas how to solve all this. The ESS Plus and the MongoDB were introduced, Claris Studio, and this data pipe thing between FileMaker and the new web-based world. And so things got more concrete to understand how it will play out in the final product. And even for us developers, they gave us some so-called North Stars to guide us and to give us confidence and trust that the process will take some time. They had some milestones, and they said they honor the power of our development work and don't break existing deployments, which was an important point here. So the whole thing got a technical perspective now. First visible results came up with the FileMaker 19 version that was introduced in early 2022. The next chapter then, I call it the tragedy. To put it in a picture, you possibly have all seen this meme on the internet before in different occasions. When I try to give it some topics, I would frame it like this. There was a Claris company. They was looking for new audiences, especially in this low-code world, that looked very compelling from a business perspective to them. And then they had this FileMaker partnerships around for a long time, and this technical depth into it, and there might be some kind of conflict inside it. And then came the point when communication suddenly went kind of weird. As I perceived it, they were talking sometimes to the wrong audience. They got this new branding. They even abandoned the name FileMaker. They introduced technical roadblockers just before the new version was introduced. They introduced this version 20 with a new file format with some really critical technical aspects within it. And to make things complete, they even introduced higher prices. So still no beef, but sales tactics. But I think they left their audience in a bit of confusion. The next stage, the next chapter, contradiction. Because there were really some good messages inside all these new introductions. The bugs got finally fixed, a lot of them. They focused on stability and performance. They embraced industry standards. The Linux part was a thing, and other like Docker and JavaScript, many good things. And new features in the cloud were visible. But there was also a lot of cons. Now we had two platforms. The rumors were going on, is FileMaker dying? The migration came at a cost, sometimes at a high cost for existing deployments. There were high hurdles, and people began to lose trust if they hadn't already in the waiting time. So all this transition came with a hidden price tag. Projects were killed, customers left, and no new prospects, as we heard again and again in our local meetings in that time. Companies and developers had to look for other technologies to replace FileMaker because no one really knew what would expect us in the future. This was a time when the community, the voice of the community really got loud. The time late 22 last year when we sat together at the FMDiSC meeting, and it was David who prepared this well thought out FileMaker survey. And there were many meetings in the FileMaker community and discussions on the conferences. So there was some kind of feedback from the community in regards to what Claris is doing. Finally, redemption. Suddenly in August of this year, Claris came up with this new platform update. First, they shared it with partners in the closed area of the Claris website. Then later in August, they shared an open presentation on YouTube. And it was really bold messages that were told there. They took back the two-platform strategy in favor for a unified new strategy where all these parts fit together more easy to understand. FileMaker keeps FileMaker, and the new Connect and Studio parts would be integrated into FileMaker. This was a huge change that had much implications on all these technical parts of it. We'll have a look at it in a minute. Then they introduced free access for existing customers for their new products. Even this was a step that was missing before, and it opens a whole new world. They called it kick the tires, so we can test it into our existing projects and make decisions, well-informed decisions. And finally, I cannot say enough thank you for this change, because we got rid of so much confusion and hurdles that all this drama included. And finally, we got a new path now that is very clear and very easy to understand. So there's one platform again. There are no technical hurdles anymore that breaks our solutions. We have strong FileMaker and a strong vision for FileMaker in the future. So we don't have to be afraid of FileMaker being declined in some way. And there's announcement of free access for existing customers and free access soon for other people to get on board to learn about the FileMaker platform. So to put it in the picture again, I think the new situation looks more like this. Finally, all involved parties look much more happier than before and found its place. And if there is a moral to the story, perhaps it's desire and promising only gets you so far. What it really needs is dedication and fulfillment. And that's a lesson for real life as well. So are we at a happy end right now? Drama was for entertainment. Back to business. Let's check the facts. If we go into review what really happened, where do we stand? I think the dedication is finally there. There's a clear path. Fulfillment is on the way. Now comes the hard work beyond a shiny PowerPoint. But it is already visible and part of the experience for us. Direction is more clear than ever. And there is something happening. Meanwhile, we had a release of version 19.6. We had the release of 2023 version, the focus on the Linux server. There was progress made with Studio and Connect. There were some major announcements in the last year and even in this year. And one critical part, there was better and more in-depth communication with the community. And finally, the refinement of the platform strategy of August this year. So if we put it on the platform picture we saw before, this was a picture we got last year with some announcements. Now they took back the rebranding. They fixed the position of these new tools they introduced in the Claris platform. But what it really means is FileMaker is strong as ever and will go straight past to the future, and we will have a good sorted tool set of the new things in the Claris Cloud, Claris Connect, Claris Studio, and even a clear path for third-party APIs that are introduced with a Connect part of it, and a good featured Studio version to get web access. And so the whole picture gets more straight than before. And if we look again at the aftermath of last year's announcements, we had these 3 slides: the good, It was that the cloud thing is getting real, and I think this is in progress. A lot of it is changing right now. They revamped their whole cloud platform. Some weeks ago, they introduced some new information about the Claris ID, and all this thing is seems to be getting aligned. The freemium model, it is announced, and I think it should launch shortly. Then we have the platform license. I think it is solved. They changed a lot of the licensing part, introduced new possibilities for existing customers. The bug fixes also solved. We saw a lot of them. The last 2 or 3 versions of that were released included a lot of bug fixing. Then the other slide, the bad things from last year, the bad communication. I think it is finally solved. It needed some steps to really get into the critical parts of it, but now the things got clearer and clearer. And partners feel left out was a point. Even there, I think it is solved. They introduced some new incentives. They introduced new programs and license, and even better communication. So it leaves us with the points pro marketing and small visibility, but I think this would need a major approach when they really deliver the big thing that is possibly happen shortly. Then the ugly parts, they promised again and again to don't break things, but this part didn't work out so well. But with a rollback to the new and refinement to the new strategy, this is also solved. And this is a very major part of all these topics we discussed last year. There was this one-way conversion to a new file format. This is solved. They even introduced a tool that should roll back the conversions if somebody has already done it. There was this deletion of user accounts. It's also solved. They found another way to integrate the cloud platform into existing FileMaker solution without breaking existing deployments. And then the need for an online connection, that was a real showstopper for many of us who had existing projects. This is also solved. They said it is only needed for a small part of it, and they talked about providing some kind of tokens that could have a timestamp so that you don't need it anytime you start the application, but only sometimes to renew your existing license or something like that. So the bottom line is all these hot topics were addressed, and many of them were solved. And the unclear upgrade path is even solved anyway, because the new strategy is very clear right now. So this is much better than it looked last year. And then in last year's presentation, I introduced a few dreams of my personal opinion, what Claris should do to enhance the platform. If we look back to this, one of it was the Mac App Store. So Claris is part of Apple, and they talked about it. Even in 2019, they introduced the idea of bringing it to the App Store, even an App Store for our solutions. When I think about it, they should have a good marketing appearance at the App Store, but this is still a dream. I hope this comes one day, because it would have a major impact to their marketing and to approaching new customers and new people, to bring in younger folks to the platform and grow the audience. Then if it comes to Claris Connect, it's a critical thing at the number of connectors. It looked kind of poor last year. We're coming closer. They introduced the custom connectors, and this is huge, because now the community can help to improve this, because other platforms are far ahead in this space, and Claris really has to do something if they are serious about this Connect, and it's a good move, and I hope they improve even further. Then we had a point that I called strong documentation and flexible deployment. They had this website that meanwhile disappeared, but the topics to learn even for new audiences, this is critical. And the options for deployment, there were some small steps that came to life. They improved their website. They introduced this new certificate, and there are things visible to improve the onboarding and the deployment of the platform. And finally, the question, a clear path to the future vision: who, why, what, when, and where. Simple answer, as I tried to write down last year, was build great products and give us access to it. And finally, I think, yes, they heard us. They introduced free access for existing customers. The product evolved. They fixed things. They introduced new features. So now we are really on a clear path to go ahead. And to draw a conclusion, I think the path is visible and has a clear direction now. The results are getting real, and it's still work to be done, but that's normal. That's part of the process. So I would say thank you to Claris, because Claris is not only a company. Claris is hardworking people that do their everyday job, and they're working hard to make all this happen. And I'm really happy about that all these efforts are now going into a clear direction that addresses us as developers and that addresses our existing customers, and that also addresses a new audience that is waiting to jump on this wagon and to go into this future together with Claris. So thank you, Claris, and also thank you here and to the audience, and thank you for having me. It was nice to give us this update to our last year's presentation. So I give back to Bob, and we can use the final time for some Q&A and discussion. Thank you.